exactly 3 months ago, on April 12th, we reported that Brett Yormark in the Big 12 had spoken to Duke, North Carolina, Clemson, and Florida State, amongst other universities in the conference. It's on the channel. Go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
We said that.
Program.
Now, at Big 12 Media Day, apparently groundbreaking, amazing, that Ross Dellinger told
John Kurtz.
Thank you. That FSU is joining the Big 12, apparently and allegedly.
In option 3 is to probably join another league, right? Which would obviously be, there's only one other power conference league, and that's the Big 12. So you look at those options, and again, they probably prefer number 1, but I don't know that that's going to happen because the SEC has schools in those states already, in Florida and South Carolina. And the Big Ten, I don't know how interested they are in coming south. I mean, those things might happen. But I think there is at least early conversation between the Big 12 and those schools about the possibility. I don't know that it's anything serious yet, because they do have to get out of the ACC, whether that's through a settlement or a court ruling. So we could be months, if not years, away from something. But
Oh my God, Marty, did you hear what Ross Dellinger said? Florida State's coming to the Big 12.
It's option 3 on a 3-tier plan.
Ross Dellinger. And
it's not even Ross's fault. That's the best part of the whole thing. Dude wasn't even trying to stir the pot, at all, in any way, shape, or form.
So Ross Dellinger essentially said, hey, amongst Florida State's options, they could stop playing football. They could relocate to the Bahamas. They could join the lingerie league, or they could join the Big 12 when the Big 12 moves their home base from Dallas to Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, because they're in talks with. Anyway, those are all those are all possibilities. Oh, but by the way, those aren't really possible because they're in the ACC and they don't have a clear exit strategy there. So,
but they're having initial conversations.
Yeah, so. and I forgot to mention they could also go independent this coming season. Dude, he said absolutely nothing. And it's remarkable to me how desperate people in the ACC are to make this a story.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. And we've said that, I know it pisses everybody off when I say, hey, we reported this. We said this exact same thing 3 months ago. We said this exact same thing yesterday. It's all well and good that Clemson and Florida State fans want out of the league. They don't have a mechanism to make that happen.
Yeah.
It's all well and good that there are reports out there that, the ACC is going to melt down at Media Day and announce that the league is folding. Okay, well, how? It just, and I know I'm just stupid old Marty over here, but you explain to me how the ACC can melt down in a week, because there's no mechanism in place for that. There's no way for Florida State and Clemson as well to join the Big 12 at any time in the near or long term. There's no mechanism for that to happen. And as we've talked about on this show, Florida State and Clemson have a really steep hill to climb just to get out of the conference. They have to win their lawsuit or find 9 other members to join them for a total of 10 members. But those two scenarios are so far and away from actual reality. And then the news that, yeah, a North Carolina judge, shocker, ruled in favor of the ACC yesterday and said that the ACC has properly filed their case in North Carolina because that's where the contracts were signed and that's where the ACC is housed.
Oh.
Like, do you understand how far away from actual resolution we are in this situation? So Ross Dellinger having a one-off conversation with John Kurtz where he said absolutely nothing is it just, I'm not trying to say it's just like you're pouring gas on the fire, but because there is no fire, like there's no path for Florida State and Clemson to join the Big 12.
Well, and I think the point you made earlier about how, like, you know, these interviews get done, and I want to keep saying this because I don't want this to be misconstrued or confused. I don't want to hear in our comments section on the channel later today that, you know, we said John was trying to do something, because neither of these two were trying to do anything.
No.
They were having a nice conversation.
It's not John Kurtz's fault.
Yeah, this isn't about John. Like, Ross wasn't doing anything. Like, if you go and listen to the whole interview, and I would encourage you to do that, it was actually a really good interview. They had a good conversation.
Yeah.
And I felt like, you know, they were just going through the situation in totality. And it does kind of feel like, you know, and I don't know, you know, if it's just people in the ACC, but it does feel like the moment Ross says anything of any variety that it would include Florida State or Clemson, people just freak out. People are just like, oh, well, Ross said that there's initial talks and it's happening and everybody get ready, pack your things, we're moving. Like, dude, Ross didn't say any of that. Ross just said what we've been saying for months, which is, hey, yeah, Brett Yormark is an operator. His mission is to make the Big 12 the best conference in the country. And part of that process is having conversations with potential members down the line, right? Because ultimately, any school that's not in your conference is a potential member. I got news for you, right? Any school not in your conference could be a potential member down the line. And obviously, the ACC schools, with their situation, are trying to change conferences. They're trying to get to a different situation. Nobody's saying that's even close to happening. So when I saw this, I was just like, man, dude, like, you know, yesterday when we're talking about media days with the Big 12, we're having this Gundy conversation and we're talking about Brett and like those things. And yes, like today we're talking about drama over absolutely nothing in this interview. And I don't understand why it has to keep happening that way.
And I will just tell you, we routinely talk to people involved in television and in administration of college football, and we got chuckles out of this yesterday. And the truth is, Brett Yormark, as we said 3 months ago to the day, Brett Yormark and his people have spoken to just about every member of the ACC. As we've told you, Brett Yormark is not the guy that plays defense. Brett Yormark is the guy that plays offense. And he has been aggressive. He knows his options. He has built relationships across college football. And I think Brett Yormark, if and when the process plays out, where the ACC is no longer a viable conference, Brett Yormark will be ready to move. And I think I continue to say his top targets are Duke and North Carolina. I think you're looking at the Virginia schools. I think Brett Yormark very clearly would like to add Pitt and Louisville. And I think Miami is very much a dark horse, but I also think that Florida State and Clemson are very good fits in the SEC. Although, again, I am of the belief that Florida will raise holy hell to keep Florida State out of that league. However, I don't believe that Florida has the sway to do that. I look at what's going on in the Big Ten. I think Duke and North Carolina are very good fits in the Big Ten. I do not think either one of them would choose the SEC over the Big Ten. I think they would both like to be in the in the Big Ten. I was told directly that North Carolina and Duke both value the academic relationships as much as they value sports. And I think the educational institutions, the Northwesterns of the world that are in the Big Ten are very attractive to Duke and North Carolina. I think it's one of the reasons that North Carolina put up very little resistance to Stanford and Cal joining the ACC. Now I understand that SMU is the belle of the ball when it comes to ACC expansion in the past. I mean, who didn't want SMU? Oh, that's right, nobody.
In Texas.
But exactly, they are Dallas. My point is, I think we're a long way from any of this happening. And the shocking part of it is, this is not the best comment that came out of Big 12 Media Day interviews yesterday.